This open borders nightmare flooded our country with fentanyl and with people that shouldn't be here, some of the worst people on earth. And illicit drugs decimated American communities and left us with a large...
4:19 a.m. Minnesota. A campus in darkness. A narcotics network beneath it. Heroin, fentanyl, cash. Before dawn, movement traced through a congressional district. What looked like a campus was a gateway into a network built on drugs, money, and fear. At 4:19 a.m., the city slept. The threat did not. Federal analysts had traced a narcotics network moving through the corridor tied to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's district. Cash drops, late-night movements, encrypted messages linked to heroin and fentanyl. The viral threat wasn't noise anymore. It was proof the network was already in motion. The trigger came from an unexpected source, a Somali student named Hassan Mohammed who filmed himself declaring that if ICE agents came into his neighborhood, he would track them down and shoot them. His voice was calm, deliberate, unsettling. The kind of threat that sounded rehearsed rather than impulsive. Within hours, the video spread across TikTok and X, amplified through private channels until it reached federal monitoring units. At a time when threats against immigration officers had surged over 800%, including messages targeting agents' homes and families, nothing was dismissed as online anger. Every word was reviewed as operational intent. His later apology meant nothing. The threat had already crossed a line, triggering the first phase of a much larger federal response. Once federal command approved the operation, the response moved with precision. ICE, DEA, and local police formed a single tactical unit, just over 30 agents assigned to locations already tied to past investigations and unresolved warrants. Hassan Mohammed's threat didn't create the risk, it simply accelerated an operation already on alert. Before sunrise, a line of black SUVs moved quietly into the university district. 6 entry teams advanced in silence. Doors were knocked once, then breached. Flashlights swept across narrow corridors as rooms were cleared in seconds. From behind windows, students watched agents enter. Dorms and rental units that had been monitored for months. Inside one apartment, agents recovered 9 phones and altered IDs. Another concealed $74,000 behind a ventilation panel. A third revealed something darker, a coded contact list linked to federal narcotics suspects. By sunrise, 14 individuals were detained. The network hidden beneath the campus was no longer in the shadows. When investigators began opening the seized devices, a different truth emerged, one far more serious than immigration violations. The data revealed a systematic narcotics network operating quietly behind the campus. Messages, audio notes, and transaction logs pointed to repeated deliveries of heroin, fentanyl, and synthetic chemicals, all coded under harmless labels. Books, supplies, midnight drops. One folder contained a spreadsheet with 58 recorded shipments, each marked with weight symbols, investigators recognized as drug quantities. Another phone held photos of vacuum-sealed packages, the kind commonly used to store narcotics before long-distance transport. Several notes mentioned the Quarry, a location that appeared on 3 devices always tied to late-night activity. GPS data confirmed it. Multiple suspects had traveled repeatedly to an abandoned industrial zone known unofficially as the Quarry Base, a place long rumored to be used by smugglers. Every thread led back to one name, Abdul Rahman Khalif Nooreh, 42. Noor had prior links to interstate drug routes. Financial records on a laptop showed deposits totaling over $41,000 within 6 months, far beyond legitimate income. His messages coordinated pickup times, quantities, and runners responsible for moving drugs in small batches to avoid detection. Files also revealed rotating safe houses, burner phones, and detailed maps of distribution paths across Minnesota and 2 neighboring states. The suspects on campus weren't simply hiding. They were part of a structured narcotics operation using the university as a protective shield. By the time agents finished reviewing the evidence, one fact was undeniable. This was a drug network with leadership, logistics, and reach. And it was still fully active. The path to the Quarry Base had been forming for days. Every phone seized, every GPS log, every coded message pointed to the same place, a forgotten industrial zone outside Minneapolis, surrounded by broken concrete, rusted fences, and unnatural silence. To most people, it was just an abandoned warehouse. To investigators, it was the heart of the network. Just after 4:08 a.m., the operation began. A convoy of unmarked SUVs moved slowly down the narrow road leading into the complex. Headlights dimmed, radios silent except for coded whispers. 42 federal agents, ICE, DEA, and tactical units took positions around the perimeter. Intelligence suggested weapons were stored inside and that some members had cartel-level connections. At 4:27 a.m., a small drone lifted into the air scanning the warehouse. Heat signatures appeared. At least 7 people inside. One figure stood in the central room barely moving. The shape matched Abdul Rahman Khalif Nooreh. Entry teams ready. The breach began with a controlled detonation. The metal side door shook, then fell outward with a burst of dust. Flashlights sliced through darkness. Team 1 swept through the left wing, stacked crates, torn tarps, and the sour chemical smell of narcotics processing. Team 2 pushed toward the central hall under heavy shields. Then came the first confrontation. 2 suspects burst from behind pallets attempting to flee. Agents shouted commands. The men didn't comply. One reached into his jacket. In seconds, agents fired 2 beanbag rounds, knocking both suspects to the floor. They were handcuffed as the operation pushed forward. Inside the warehouse's core, something more alarming appeared. Metal containers filled with heroin fentanyl precursors and equipment capable of preparing hundreds of doses per hour. This wasn't storage. This was production. The final room was sealed with a reinforced lock. When the door swung open, agents found Khalif Nooreh sitting at a metal table, a phone in his hand. 3 more lined up beside him. No chaos, no resistance. He simply lifted his head as if he'd been expecting them. Around him, $260,000 in cash, rubber banded into bricks. 15 handguns and 3 rifles in open cases. Ledgers detailing shipments across 3 states. A mapped distribution route traced with red marker. Nooreh was handcuffed without a word. His network had collapsed in a single night. What began with a viral threat had exposed a narcotics base operating in the shadows of Minnesota, and the man who quietly ran it was finally in federal custody. When the lights inside the quarry base were finally switched on, agents realized the raid had only ended the first half. The second half, hidden in laptops, burner phones, and boxes of records, was even more disturbing. What investigators discovered over the next 72 hours transformed the case from a local narcotics operation into a multi-state criminal enterprise with international ties. Agents discovered financial links connecting Nooreh to 4 shell businesses registered under different identities. Over 4 years, the combined flow reached $3.8 million, confirming the narcotics trade around the quarry base was a full-scale business model. A tablet listed 12 secondary coordinators responsible for distributing narcotics to mid-level dealers. 3 had already vanished after the raid, their phones shut off within minutes of Nooreh's arrest. Agents also realized how deeply the network had infiltrated everyday settings. At least 9 runners held jobs inside community centers, grocery stores, or campus facilities, blending into places where no one would suspect criminal activity. But the biggest revelation came from voice messages on Nooreh's tablet. In them, a voice believed to be the broker outlined plans to expand distribution routes into 2 new states. The messages ended with a chilling statement: "Keep the campus clean. They won't look there."